This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. It wasn't a good start to the road trip for the Sacramento Kings. They fell 114-95 last night to the Hornets in Charlotte. Buddy Hield led all scorers with 24 points. He was 6 of 11 from beyond the arc. The rest of the Kings went just 5 of 22 from three-point range, though. The Kings are off tonight as they travel to Detroit to take on the Pistons tomorrow. Elsewhere in the NBA, it was the Wizards over the Knicks, 101-100 in London. The Wizards trailed by 12 points in the fourth quarter in that one. The 76ers won their third in a row, 120-96 over the Pacers. The Suns pushed the Raptors to the final second, but Pascal Siakam hit a layup at the buzzer to give the Raptors a 111-109 win. The Nuggets trounced the Bulls 135-105, and the Thunder forced overtime against the Lakers, but then Kyle Kuzma and Lonzo Ball and the Lakers' young cast took over in OT to lead LA to a 138-128 victory. It's 8:02. Time now for the International Sportsman's Expo, coming Thursday through Sunday at Cal Expo. Get tickets at sportsexpos.com.
Welcome back into the drive here. Damian Barling along with the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Jason, Herbert, Walker, Ross. Coming up this hour, Carmichael Dave, by the way, off for the next week or so. So we'll be here with you in the morning. Coming up this hour, 40 minutes from right now, the Big Game Dream Party presented by Mel Rapton Honda. Your chance to win a 65-inch television, $2,500 in Lazy Boy furniture, and a $500 gift card to Sprouts Farmers Market. We got 3 keywords each day. Your first one coming up at 8:40 a.m. Again, that is just about 40 minutes from now. We'll also get you qualified to get tickets to Tap Into a Cold One. Folsom's Wintercraft Brewfest happening January 26th. We're going to get Mike Triplett here on the phone in just a second. He covers the New Orleans Saints for ESPN NFL Nation. The championship games going on this weekend, the Patriots at the Chiefs, the Rams at the Saints. Be fun to talk to Mike here coming up in just a couple of minutes. As you're all very well aware, your Sacramento Kings lose last night. Their 3-game winning streak comes to an end. First game of a long road trip for these guys, 114-95. You'd expect games like that at some point on the road. You normally don't expect to see games like that the first game on the road. They came out to a great start. I'm sure fans were super optimistic as they come out firing 15-3, even up 25-20 at the end of the first quarter. But the second quarter, it got pretty ugly, and it never got any better as the game went along.
Yeah, I know there's not much difference in the two records, but that's a game where you just beat them. You hope you can start the trip on a good tone, but you've got other more difficult games coming up. They let one get away. We'll see if they play better tomorrow in Detroit.
It's the Rams at the Saints coming up on Sunday. Happy to bring in Mike Triplett, covers the New Orleans Saints for ESPN NFL Nation. Mike, always great to have you. I want to start with coaching. We've been talking a lot about that throughout today, and we'll obviously talk specifically here about Sean Payton. What type of response did the bit with the $250,000 and the trophy and the ring, and what type of response did that get specifically from his players?
Well, they got a kick out of it, and even more than I think people would, people might think it's gimmicky or whatever, but I think they really got a kick out of it. It had such an impressive look to it. But, I mean, the thing, that story really went viral. Peyton does something like that almost every week. He had a thing another of our reporters uncovered earlier this year where he was bringing in college mascots. At first, I think he had the Purdue Boilermaker train do something when Breeze beat Ohio State, but then when Breeze's Purdue team lost to Michigan State, he actually flew in the actual Michigan State mascot. He dressed up like Bill Belichick years ago to give a mock scouting report. He's put mousetraps around the locker room. So I think a lot of coaches do this kind of stuff. I think Peyton's always been really good at it. Just a way to get everyone's attention, create a mood, and then explain your message afterward once you've got their attention. But this one was particularly creative, and he actually did the same thing in 2009 when they won the Super Bowl, but they only have 3 guys left from that team on this team.
Well, nothing gets me more excited than when Jason puts mouse traps around the studio.
It works.
That gets me motivated, Mike.
Yeah.
That gets me going right there.
Well, and how about this week, too, or coming into this game, we're hearing that he is encouraging what is already a fantastic home field advantage and a fantastic fan base to really ramp it up a few seconds before the Rams snap the ball on offense. So he's going all in with the fans, too, isn't he?
Well, I thought that was an interesting point he made, and I featured that when I it was one of the more interesting things that came out of yesterday, because not only is that coach speak, hey, fans, you got to be loud, he was very specifically targeting what the Rams like to do and a little insight into what they're combating this week. And he said, Sean McVay, speaking of coaching, is so good at mixing up tempo that a lot of times they get to the line quick and snap the ball right away, and then they'll walk up slow and they'll take their time, and they try to mix you up and keep you guessing. He goes, so he wanted to make sure the fans are aware of that, because he wants them to start cranking up the volume as soon as the previous play is blown dead, before he even gets a chance to start talking to Jared Goff in the headset.
I feel like we're going to get a heavy dose of Taysom Hill this weekend. I have no idea, but you just talked about – I have no idea why I feel that way, but you just talked about some of the plays that they're going to put out there, and the crowd being involved, and they just love having Taysom Hill involved in this offense. And given that he's a backup quarterback, I'm always so fascinated by that.
Well, what's really interesting with that is some of the plays weren't working out real well with him in December. I think he threw I can't remember when he threw an interception, but they had a dropped pass or a missed pass to him. A couple of things where it's like, oh, man, this thing's running out of steam as we get to December. I wonder if they'll just scrap the Taysom Hill experiment in the playoffs. And then we get to the first playoff game, and they doubled down on him. I mean, obviously he converted the fake punt for the third time this year, but then he almost catches a 50-yard touchdown pass from Drew Brees, which Brees slightly underthrew or got the timing off on. And then on a very nice play, Hill throws the 46-yard touchdown pass to Alvin Kamara that gets called back because of holding. So even though it's the playoffs and it's the biggest stage, they are not giving up on the things they like to do with him. You're right about that.
So, Mike, the first meeting, a classic. I mean, went to the Saints, a shootout. Just a lot of fun to watch that game, offensive football everywhere. What do you expect game plan-wise from each team on that? Will they try to duplicate what they did there? How much similarities do you think go from game one to this weekend's game?
Well, there will be some differences, I think. First of all, I think both defenses are better than that and will play a bigger role than that. The Rams took a while to get their defense together this year, but they obviously built that dream team on defense. And I think Ndamukong Suh just played his best game of the year last week. Aqib Talib was hurt when they played the first time, and Michael Thomas had the 211 receiving yards. So I think the Rams are going to put the Rams did not have a sack. Is that the only game all year where Aaron Donald didn't get a sack? He had 20.5 of them this season. So I expect more from the Rams defense, but also the Saints defense has been much improved. They've been really, I think, the number 2 scoring defense in the league over the second half of the season since that game. They've been coming up really clutch, although they lost Sheldon Rankins, their defensive tackle, who was a Pro Bowl caliber player, and that's going to hurt. And then the Rams have become more of a running team. We obviously saw them run for 273 yards last week, but I think as Jared Goff struggled a bit down the stretch, they decided they had to lean more heavily on that run game. I think Gurley only carried the ball 13 times the first time they met. In this game, I expect them to try to make sure that, Jared Goff doesn't have to win a game in a loud Superdome. I expect them to try to run it and make this less of a shootout, as you say, and maybe cut down on the possessions for both teams.
Mike Triplett covers the New Orleans Saints for ESPN NFL Nation, the Rams and the Saints in the NFC Championship. I'm glad you went with Todd Gurley in the Rams run game because they didn't have C.J. Anderson the last time these two teams played either. And C.J. Anderson has perhaps been the greatest pickup in the history of late season pickups in the history of all of football to be cut by as many teams as he has and to come back, and I think it's 149 yards per game. How much has his name been mentioned around New Orleans Saints practices this week?
Well, first of all, I want credit. After that Week 9 game when the Saints won 45-35, I said, you just watch. They're going to come back here in 2 months, and they're going to have C.J. Anderson, and it's just going to be a whole different game. At no point did I think C.J. Anderson would be the guy who could be the difference maker in this game. It's really been incredible. But look, we know the Rams have a good offensive line. We know Sean McVay is a sort of brilliant offensive mind. And when he had Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, they were throwing a lot more than they were running it, and obviously they throw the ball to Gurley a lot. And I don't know that C.J. Anderson is this revelation and he's the greatest running back in the league, or if they maybe could have done this with 20 other running backs, but I think it's a testament to how good of a coach he is that if he decides, you know what, without Cooper Kupp, we've been struggling, Goff's been struggling a little bit, now I'm going to blow the dust off all my great run plays, and we're going to become a running team, and he's good at that too.
You mentioned the running part of this. How about on the Saints' perspective? We know they can win games with that element. They can win it with Drew Brees and Thomas and the passing game. How much of a factor do the Saints want Ingram, Kamara, that kind of to dictate what they do?
Yeah, obviously in this first matchup, they loved the passing matchup of Michael Thomas versus Marcus Peters in man coverage, and they exploited that. They're not going to see the same thing this time around. The Rams are playing more zone. They've got to keep Talib. So I'm curious to see if they still think the passing game is where they can exploit this Rams defense, or if they're going to try to run into that front with Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. But I think it'll be a mixture. The Saints' specialty is always being able to mix up formations and personnel groupings and switch from run to pass and keep people off balance. So I would not expect them to go heavy in one direction or another. But I do think Alvin Kamara is going to have to be a huge part of the plan no matter what. The biggest question mark with the Rams' defense is probably their linebackers. And I think, Kamara could catch close to double-digit passes in this game as much as he runs the ball as well.
There was a lot of talk, Mike, headed into the divisional round about the Los Angeles Chargers, and this being Phillip Rivers, perhaps this Phillip Rivers' last big chance, last real chance at a Super Bowl championship. I don't feel like anyone is asking that about Drew Brees. How much wider do you think this window is? How much longer do you think this window is open for Drew Brees, Sean Payton, and the New Orleans Saints? This version of the New Orleans Saints.
I don't think there's indications that Brees is all of a sudden going to have a huge drop-off right away, but this could be the last best chance. I mean, the Saints know as well as anybody that being the number one seed is the key. They've had some really good teams before, and I know you're in San Francisco country. Their 2011 team might have been the best one they ever had, but they were a 13-3 team that ended up as a 3 seed and lost that gut-wrenching playoff game at San Francisco. Last year they were really good, but they lost that playoff game in the Minneapolis Miracle in Minnesota. The only time they'd been the number one seed, they won the Super Bowl. So I think they know full well that this is the one to take advantage of. It's not going to set up better than this. I do think the Saints are still built to be big winners next year. They don't have any major free agents. All these young stars that have come up are still on their rookie deals. So I think next year sets up nice for them too. But you need so many factors to come into play, like staying healthy and getting the right schedule and getting the lucky bounces and everything like that. As the number one seed right now, they ought to be playing like this might be their last best chance with Brees for sure.
Mike, could you quantify that, the home field advantage for them? We hear it. We know it's something. People talk about how difficult it is to play there. I think the Eagles last week had 3 or 4 offsides, just timing. But you've been there. You see them. What is it like on such a meaningful game like this one this weekend in that building?
I don't think it's just automatically like, this deafening building that is so different than where anyone else plays. But it's got to rank right up there with the loudest stadiums, right up there with Seattle and probably a couple others, maybe Kansas City where they're going to play the other game this weekend. So that's one, big element, and especially a team like the Rams comes in and they want to do check with me's at the line of scrimmage, and, not everyone can hear the signals, so that's a huge advantage. And it also sets up well for what the Saints do best. I mean, timing and rhythm passing offense, you love to be able to control all the elements, There's not going to be any crowd noise. There's not going to be any weather. There's not going to be any wind. There's not going to be any, turf issues. So I think the combination of those two things, the volume that affects the other team, and then having, that indoor controlled surface for a team that has one of the best offenses in NFL history is a pretty killer combination.
Mike Triplett covers the Saints for ESPN NFL Nation with us here on The Drive. These two teams played back in Week 9. Good, bad, or indifferent for either one of them?
That they've played already?
Yeah.
I would think it's got to help the Rams a little bit because of the things we just talked about. I mean, if they had never been in the Superdome before and they had to get used to it, they actually played in the preseason here too. So their third trip inside the Superdome this year, I think that helps. And I think they learned from their mistakes. I don't think they've played man single coverage defense against a top receiver after that game. And Wade Phillips even had a line that, what is he in his, however many years of coaching, and he said, you still learn as you go along, and he said they, have learned to play a better style of pass defense since then. So I think all those things help the Rams, but the Saints are still the ones that won by 10 points the first time, so they're probably still the favorites, even though this time I only picked them to win by 1 point.
Oh, there you go. How about Sean Payton in this? We know he's more of a risk taker, took some big risks last week, and it paid off. Over the years that you've covered this team, is he on the right side of those bold moves more often than not?
Yeah, for sure. Now, his answer to that question will be, if you've got his answer to all of those questions is if you're winning, people love that you do all this stuff. If you're losing, you're not. So I don't know if his, percentages are higher in the winning seasons and lower in the losing seasons or whatever, but they've won a lot of games here, and that's always been his style, and they're obviously an attacking offense and an aggressive offense. So when you immediately think back to Sean Payton's career, you think of a guy who's had a lot of success with that style. But I would say this year feels almost like I wouldn't say reinvigorated Sean Payton because he's been doing a good job for a while, but he's been about as aggressive and creative as I've seen him in a long time. We talked about Taysom Hill earlier. They went for it on fourth down quite a bit this year, even in situations where they wouldn't normally go on fourth down, which is sort of a trend league-wide too. They're doing a ton of stuff with Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram on the field together, and Kamara running jet sweeps. So I would say, even though everybody wants to hire the 32-year-old coach who's thinking outside of the box, the 55-year-old Payton has been as creative as anyone in the league this year.
All right, Mike, you said you had the Saints. You're picking them by 1. I know you covered them, but what about the other game? Who are you picking in the AFC?
I've only watched from afar, but it's hard not to pick the Chiefs the way they can light up the scoreboard, and they'll have the home field advantage, and the Patriots haven't quite looked like themselves this year. But I actually think if it's a 10-degree game or whatever, it might neutralize the home field advantage a little. It's not like the Chiefs are used to playing in 10 degrees every week.
The 10 degrees are afraid of Patrick Mahomes, by the way. Greatest quarterback to ever. I think they're going to change the name quarterback to the Patrick Mahomes position.
Oh, is that right?
I believe so.
Okay.
Unconfirmed.
Yeah.
Mike, could you check on that when you get the opportunity?
No, because there's no way 32 teams would be able to fill that position.
Good point.
Solid point right there, Mike. Enjoy the game this weekend. Always love talking to you, man. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right, that is Mike Triplett. He covers the New Orleans Saints. We should have asked him if he's gone to visit Aunt Leah. I apologize.
Oh, yeah, good point.
That would have been the great conversation ender right there. Mike Triplett covers the New Orleans Saints for ESPN NFL Nation.
I hope that game lives up to what it should be. I mean, they're just I think there's some interesting wrinkles. I know a lot of people, and Mike mentioned it, bringing up Aqib Talib. I think his presence could really make a difference on Thomas, but then it's the counters and the adjustments, and can the Rams run like they did last week? Can the Saints turn it into a running game? Will the defenses be a factor? The dome, all of that stuff. I think there's a lot of fun storylines there.
Time to plan your football playoff party treats. Start at your local Sprouts Farmers Market and Sprouts.com. I mean, it's the NFC Championship. It'd be hard for it not to live up to expectations. Like, I'd be fine even if the game was low scoring and close.
Yeah.
I told you the only thing that would surprise me headed into, we discussed headed into last week's divisional round. The only thing that would really surprise any of us would be blowouts. Mm-hmm. Turns out there were a whole bunch of them. There were blowouts all over the screen between Saturday and Sunday. So I don't know that that'll happen who knows what's going to happen this weekend, but I'm excited for this one.
Well,
I love New Orleans at home.
If I told you that I went ahead in time, I saw the game, there were 2 blowouts, which teams do you think won?
This weekend, you mean?
Yeah, if I say on championship weekend, both games were blowouts. Who would you assume won?
Saints and Chiefs. If you're telling me ahead of time that there are blowouts.
that it was a 20-point game and it was never close.
I'd go Saints for sure, but I'm really struggling with the other one. I can't envision Kansas City getting blown out at home, but I'm really struggling saying that the Patriots are going to get blown out in the AFC Championship.
Yeah, I do too, but I think of the likelihood, I think it would be the Chiefs. If everything's clicking.
I think I'm there too. Yeah. But the idea of like Damian said, the idea of the Patriots getting blown out.
Yeah. There's no history that says that's going to happen. So I would probably have to lean the other way and say it was the Patriots that won. If you in the scenario you just laid out,
well,
it was the Patriots and the Saints.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Of course, that's what we're.
How many years
I'm
ago?
referring specifically to the championship history.
Yeah.
AFC championship history.
How many years ago was that Chiefs blowout of the Patriots that was ending the Patriots?
Yeah, it was the end of the Patriots. Yeah. It was week 2. 3 years ago?
At least.
Or was it week 2?
It might have been like 4 years ago, but We've seen the Patriots get blown out in a Super Bowl, and they still won. Like, that is a thing that happened.
That's very true. That's very true. What was the score? 27-3?
28-3.
28-3.
Late in the third quarter. And they won.
Incredible. That's the stuff that makes people hate the Patriots.
Yeah.
Like, even when they're blown out, they win.
No days off.
And that, too.
Yeah.
The
God,
worst chant in history of championship parades. Like, if you put Mark Mattson dancing versus Bill Belichick chanting no days off, I'd argue Bill Belichick chanting is worse.
Oh,
yeah.
for that, way worse.
Yeah, Mattson, that's fun.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's
It's
fun.
fun.
What about those Bet Against Us t-shirts? I'm sure you guys talked about those on the
Julian
lowdown
Edelman,
already.
get
but-
outta
Oh,
here.
my goodness.
Well, they're the underdogs, guys. How are they going to overcome?
This manufactured nonsense from this group. Again, more reason why people hate the Patriots. Bet against us. Sit your ass. Shut up. Aren't you on drugs? Like, you can't do that either if you've been suspended for PED use.
Yeah?
I bet on your drug test. How about that?
He's an underdog there, too.
He's an underdog in his drug test. That's accurate.
The drug test is minus 8.5 going into the weekend.
Bet on
Watch
Edelman.
those odds, though.
Yeah.
Watch those odds watch those odds as Julian Edelman gets closer to having to go to the bathroom. Bet against us. Give me a break, man. That was the worst. Oh, everyone thinks we suck.
Hey, can you
Everyone hates you. They don't think you suck. They just hate you.
Can you imagine being a Patriots fan and you've got to pick a shirt out for game day and you're going Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl champion, AFC champion, bet against us.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
This is the one.
Well,
This is
don't forget the Goodell clown shirt.
No, see, that one's fine. I'm fine with that one.
It's okay. But that the current head coach of the Detroit Lions was the one who wore, by the way.
Yes.
Let's not forget that. That's the leader you want in your organization. How did he do this year, by the way?
Not great.
No days off.
They beat the Patriots, though.
Hey, respect the process a little bit. Sit up when you talk. Respect the
yeah.
Come on, just respect the process.
Okay,
a little bit.
guy who wears his hat backwards and his pencil in his ear. Ugh.
I'll answer that
Okay,
question.
guy whose mentor wore a cutoff hoodie with a long sleeve shirt underneath it just so he could wear the cutoff hoodie part your entire coaching
Hey,
career.
do you like your job? What?
Dude. I'm not a fan of Matt Patricia. I'm not sure if the Drive knows this. Yeah, not a big fan.
We do now.
I don't buy it. Don't buy it at all. Did I tell you about Sprouts already? I think I did.
You did.
So I'll tell you more about Sprouts later. How realistic is it? How realistic is the possibility of Antonio Brown joining the San Francisco 49ers? And could Kyler Murray play both sports if one small thing was different? We've got our mailbag coming up next.
Hey, this is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Sacramento Kings had a disappointing start to their 6-game road trip. They fell 114-95 to the Hornets last night in Charlotte. Buddy Hield led all scorers with 24 points. He was 6 of 11 from beyond the arc. The Kings are off tonight as they travel to Detroit to take on the Pistons tomorrow. Elsewhere in the NBA yesterday, the Wizards and Knicks faced off in London. That one went right down to the wire with the Wizards taking home a 101-100 lead. They overcame a 12-point fourth quarter deficit in that one. The 76ers won their third in a row, 120-96 over the Pacers. The Suns took the Raptors right to the brink, but Pascal Siakam's layup at the buzzer gave the Raptors a 111-109 victory. The Nuggets were all over the Bulls, 135-105, and the Thunder took the Lakers to overtime, but it was the Lakers' young core taking over in OT and leading LA to a 138-128 victory. It is 8:30. Time now for the International Sportsman's Expo, Thursday through Sunday at Cal Expo. Get tickets at sportsexpos.com.
It's time for the Coors Light Cold Hard Fact of the Day. Here's Kyle Madsen.
Hey, did you guys know that Russell Westbrook last night went 7 for 30 from the field? That's a thing that happened. That hasn't happened since 2002. That's also a fact. The last person to do it was Allen Iverson. So he's in good company there. Bob Cousy did it twice. Again, more good company. Jerry Stackhouse, Keith Van Horn, Reggie Theus, Mike Mitchell, Bob Love, Kazi Russell, John Havlicek, Rudy Larusso, Jerry West did it once, and Joe Folks did it twice. Russell Westbrook with the 15th game ever of 7 of 30 or worse from the field. Damian, back to you.
Thoughts?
Picture him rolling.
He hit the 3 free throws they needed to get to overtime.
That's called clutch.
Off of Lonzo Ball's genius foul there at the end of regulation.
Never lost.
Is it that UCLA education?
Watch it.
What was that?
He wanted he was stat padding.
He took GA classes.
How come
at
no
best.
one has said James Harden is stat padding?
I don't know.
Oh, it's just Russ.
Yeah,
It's just
because-
Russ that does it.
Yeah.
James Harden is because he's not hunting triple doubles,
Oh.
and his team,
They
like
hunt
wins
him.
and stuff. And
They
goes
do.
to the conference finals and almost beats the Warriors.
Oh, yeah. Russell Westbrook's team didn't do that. Russell
No,
Westbrook's team
Kevin
wasn't
Durant's team did that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why don't you pull up that Game 7 log for me and tell me who showed up in Game 7 and who didn't? As a matter of fact, pull up
Warriors did.
Game 6 as well.
Klay Thompson showed up.
Klay
in that
Thompson
one.
showed up. Yeah, Klay Thompson single-handedly beat Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook in that series. That was slick. Good for you. Good for you.
I really like cherry picking facts and ignoring the ones that go against what I'm
That's
saying.
fine.
Can you do that Westbrook stats all next week too?
Yes.
Just
Shooting
from the request line.
24% from 3 this year.
And yet Lonzo Ball still fouled him attempting a 3.
Hey, Lakers won it. He knew what he was doing.
Damien and Jason along with Kyle Matson sitting in for Carmichael Dave here. Carmichael Dave will be back. We'll be here for the next week or so. Carmichael Dave will be back a week from Monday. We thank you so much for being with us. If you're not regularly with us, Monday through Friday, noon to 3 on the Lowdown, we've added a member earlier this year. Cody Baylor, a Montana native here with us on the Lowdown to open up Jason Ross's letters. If you ever want to be a part of the mailbag, you actually have to write a letter, address it to Jason Ross, stamp the envelope, do the whole thing, put it in the mailbox.
Yeah.
Some of these questions may be dated because of that. But 280 Commerce Circle, Sacramento, California, it's how Jason gets loads of mail each and every single week.
It's the only reason the station has a mailbox for me. It's nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody else does it digitally.
It's called a mail Ross.
No, it's not. It's not nice. It's not nice, Cody. It's not nice at all. But Cody Baylor, first question, mailbag. What do we got?
Good morning. How realistic is the possibility of Antonio Brown joining the San Francisco 49ers?
I think it's very realistic. I think it's one seemingly a desire for him. I think Pittsburgh has to do something, so he's likely going to get a new home. And the fit, I always talk about the fit. San Francisco makes a lot of sense to me, so I say very realistic.
The fit is obviously there. It's realistic for no other reason than it appears that the Pittsburgh Steelers are probably, it appears, very eager to move him.
Yeah.
Or if not eager, willing. So in that alone, it's realistic.
I don't think the Steelers are going to want to help him out, and there are going to be 20 other teams vying for Antonio Brown's services. And I could see the Steelers kind of sticking it to him and saying, hey, we'll take a little less from Team X than what the 49ers are giving us. And the Niners have to weigh some things too. I mean, do they want to give up that much draft capital for him? I think there's going to be a huge market for him, but if I'm placing odds, I think the Niners are the favorites right now.
So they're going to go the Belichick route with the petty trade and send
It wouldn't
him.
surprise me.
Yeah.
They hate each other.
It appears that they very much do. Yeah, it appears that they do. Cody?
The next one. If Kyler Murray played a position other than quarterback, do you think he'd play football and baseball?
Great question.
That is a great question. It's come up a couple of times here throughout the week. Is playing quarterback just not going to happen? Playing baseball and being a quarterback just isn't going to happen. If you took the quarterback out of the equation, could he do both? I'd like to see it. I think he could. You can't if you're a quarterback. If you're any other position, yeah, I think he could.
Yeah, I mean, it's been done before, so I would say it could.
It's been a while, right?
It has been a while, but that was a time where it wasn't that far, the gap from when Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, and Brian Jordan were all playing two sports. I thought that was great. I'd like to see it.
I would love to see it. I don't know if you could now, though. I feel like baseball is so hard now, or so much harder than it was to just pick up and go hit after not playing for a while. And then doing the same in football. I mean, I guess depending on the position, but I don't know, man. I think it'd be really tough, but I think he would sure try. I definitely think that would be on the table if he wasn't playing quarterback.
I just feel like with baseball, there's so much. You have spring ball, you have winter ball. I feel like it's a year-round thing.
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of have to commit to one or the other.
But you don't have to do all of those though. If you're,
No,
I mean,
but if you want to be the best at your sport, you're gonna put all your potential and all your, I don't know, everything into it.
I get that. Well, it's a fun question, but it's not worth answering because he's a quarterback who, shockingly, moved up draft boards this week. How about that?
Hey, look at that.
Who would have seen that?
I'm fascinated to see what happens if he measures in at like 5'8".
Dude, he's not.
He's
What is
not
he
a big
listed at?
dude.
5'11"?
5'10".
Yeah, he's not.
Well,
He
they
is.
list him at 10?
He's very much not 5'10".
Yeah.
It depends on where you look. 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, 5'11" for his baseball stats, I think.
Yeah.
He's not. He's very much not.
I bet he measures out at like 5'8.5".
That's going to be the most watched height measurement in the history of the NFL Combine for sure. Is what Kyler Murray's height is. What else we got, Cody?
All right. Given the disappointing season and legal fight over guaranteed money, do you think Leonard Fournette plays for Jacksonville next season?
The Jacksonville who?
Jaguars.
That was good.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
Better?
Mailbag.
Mailbag.
Chicago.
There's something there. They're not happy. He's not happy. They're not happy.
Yeah.
I would lean towards no.
Dude, this guaranteed money thing. But by the way, remember who was it? Chicago. Roquan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago.
Remember when he held out?
Yeah.
This is what he held out for.
Right.
Yeah.
This was it.
What's that called? Offset language.
That's it.
Offset.
That's it. They have the ability to withhold guaranteed money because of a suspension. And Roquan Smith was saying, with the way that the rules are changing, I could lay a hit in on somebody and be suspended.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we need to change this. And he fought it. Leonard Fournette did not. And now it feels between Tom Coughlin talking about his body language after they had gotten their butt kicked in, I think it was the final week of the season or close to the final week of the season. Yeah, and then, again, as Cody mentioned there, the disappointing season. It feels like Leonard Fournette's time might strangely be over with.
I don't think the Jaguars are probably interested in having him back. He's not that good at football, man. Like, he's just not.
But he was.
Was he?
He
Yes.
was,
He
yeah.
didn't even average 4 yards a carry his first year.
Oh, I guess, are you referring to LSU? Because that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, that's what I
Oh,
was
yeah. No,
referring
he
to.
was great at LSU, but there's
Okay.
a lot of college players who are really good who aren't good in the NFL. He's not a good NFL player. Like, I don't think he is. And
I didn't think he was a but think about it. He's a running back on a team where the quarterback was Blake Bortles.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very true. But you just watch him. That he's not.
So the only thing we just established is, okay, he's not Ezekiel Elliott, but who is he? I don't think he's a bottom run running back in the NFL.
No, but they're cutting their losses with the number 4 pick, and they're going to try and go elsewhere at that position because it's not working.
2 years in, though. That's
man.
brutal.
And if he's gonna be a pain, like he's not good enough to deal with that. Go average 4 yards a carry, and then you can be a jerk.
Okay, so there's the barometer for
rule.
being a jerk. There's Kyle Matson's rules to live by.
Yeah.
Damian, you must average like 8 yards a carry.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm up for the challenge. Cody?
Guys, is Derrick Rose going to make the All-Star game?
Why are you laughing?
Because he is. Dude, Derrick Rose is going to be an all-star in 2019. You can be mad if you want to.
I am.
Okay, well, that's your problem. He's going to be an all-star.
Well, this is.
You know who else is? The other guy you said wouldn't make it.
I know, Luka. Mm-hmm. Well, what I need to understand is, okay, this is 50% of this all-star balloting is attributed to the fans. Well, it's such a huge number. The other 25% is players. The other 25% is coaches. I don't know how you weigh that. So I'm seeing Luka with 3 million votes.
Mm-hmm.
How are you measuring players' votes versus coaches? Like, I don't know how that's kind of tabulated.
Are they? But I think Luka's less egregious than Derrick Rose.
Yeah, Derrick Rose is not an all-star. Luka's not an all-star, though, if he's not voted in.
Correct.
Right.
But that happens all the time. Like, there are guys
not
who,
as much as
like,
you think.
That happens a lot, particularly with
I
guys.
would say if there's-
Allen Iverson was like, there are guys who are voted into All-Star games who don't play. Like DeMarcus Cousins has 100,000 votes.
Yeah, well,
and he hasn't
won't.
even stepped on the court yet.
Yeah, but he won't make. But I guess if there's 10 voted in, I would say usually 9 deserve it. There's usually 1, so maybe Rose would
We've
be the
seen
most
it with
egregious.
Iverson. We've
Yeah.
seen it with.
Wade's not an all-star.
Magic Johnson was retired
Yeah.
and was the leading vote getter in an all-star game.
But is Wade going to make it? Wade's up there, too.
Well, I hope Dwayne Wade makes it because it's an all-star game. Who freaking cares?
Yeah. Well,
Vote him in and
the
let
guy
him.
that gets left out
Well, yeah, I guess
that's
so.
played
You're right.
like one.
But there's going to be like 4 of them that think they.
Also, Derrick Rose. Why the Derrick Rose capes?
Yeah, I don't get.
Dude, Derrick Rose stands go hard.
Yeah. Oh no. I know.
Hard.
Yeah, but I get the love for Dwayne Wade. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
For Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, again, stands go hard for Derrick Rose. Tell Cody I'm not an Instagram follower, but I'm always interested in her Raider info. Cody works for the Oakland Raiders, joined us here on the Lowdown, and Cody's going to stick around. We got a few more mailbag questions, and we've got to pick our conference championship game winners. We'll do that as we wrap things up here on The Drive next. I did a terrible job at reminding everybody that keyword was coming up. My sincerest apologies. You want to enter to win the big game dream party presented by Mel Rapton Honda. Your chance to win a 65-inch television, $2,500 in Lazy Boy furniture, and a $500 gift card. You can text the word TAP, T-A-P. Text the word TAP to 441140. You could do that right now, and you'll still be in. What are you doing?
I was signing the letters.
It's right there. You gotta. Oh, it's right there too.
Okay. Text the word TAP. The text line does not recognize sign language. TAP, T-A-P, to 441140. And my apologies for missing out on that just a few moments ago. All right, Cody, we got a couple of mailbag questions here to wrap us up.
All right, the next one. What do you expect from DeMarcus Cousins in his debut with the Golden State Warriors tonight?
I expect DeMarcus Cousins.
What's that mean?
I think we're going to get a 20-10 night from DeMarcus.
Tonight?
Absolutely. Because I think the team is going to do everything they can to get him involved. And I think we're going to see a stretch of games here for the Golden State Warriors where we see them try to make DeMarcus Cousins a central focus of what they're doing. And I only think that changes if for some reason they lose. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we see DeMarcus Cousins at top form tonight.
In 15 minutes?
Was that
That's my guess. 20?
Why? But wait a minute. He's been ready to play for a while. They've held him out. Yeah, but they've held him. No, I don't think he plays 15 minutes tonight. That'd be insane.
Okay.
He's starting tonight for the Golden State Warriors. Why would he play 15 minutes? Unless they're up 50-0, I wouldn't play him 15 minutes.
Because he had a major injury.
Yeah, he's been playing. He's been back. Either play him or don't. 15 minutes.
There's load management in the league.
That's
Why do
stupid.
guys? Hey, you're there. Rest.
No,
Yes.
that's not what I'm saying.
This is a major injury.
That he's recovered from.
Yeah, that's what I feel like he could have been back a while ago, which is different from, hey, this is a 6-month injury. It's
he's
6
back.
months today.
That's it.
Get back in there. However, I think they are going to kind of ease him back in, if for no other reason, to kind of get him into the flow of things. And
It's dumb.
I'll
coach the Warriors. That's a dumb idea. Throw him out
what does
there.
Kerr
Let him be
know?
DeMarcus Cousins.
I would be fascinated to see him with their second unit because they have Clay and then really not much else off the bench. And I would be interested to see him in the game with Clay while they rest Steph and Durant.
Yeah, that shortage of talent.
So you're sending DeMarcus Cousins to the bench already?
No, not necessarily.
Oh.
But just have his primary minutes be out there with that unit so he can be the focal point. Because he's not going to be the focal point with Steph and Durant on the floor.
I know you're a Warriors guy, Kyle. If there's a game where they have to win, which obviously is later, is Kerr playing the lineup of death, whatever we call it?
The death lineup? Yeah, I think so. I think that's how they'll
and
close
not
games.
Cousins.
Yeah. Because
That'll go over well.
I'm guessing that's been explained to him. Like, hey, you got to play defense to be on the floor on this team. And if he's not going to play defense and get back and run, he can't hang with that lineup.
The first, second, third, and fourth player are going to be run for DeMarcus Cousins tonight.
Okay.
Well, we can fight about it next week. But
Were you 4-0 last week?
Wow.
Are you asking me?
Wow.
Because as a matter of fact, I was.
Wow.
Good question. Excellent
Nice.
question, Kyle.
All right. Well,
We both
with
were
that
different
said, Cody Baylor, let's wrap this up.
Will Jalen Hurts win the Heisman Trophy now that he plays for Oklahoma?
No.
What do you mean, no? Science says he will.
He lost some of his
mean?
game in the transfer portal.
That's unconfirmed. The transfer portal does not take the game out of you.
Do we know this? It's
We
a new
don't.
thing.
It's with the long-term effects of the transfer
Yeah.
portal have yet to be felt.
So my unscientific study, the portal has an effect. No, I don't think he will.
Where did Kyler Murray go to school?
He went to Oklahoma.
Where did Baker Mayfield go to school?
He went to Oklahoma.
Who won the last 2 Heisman trophies?
Those 2 guys.
Science says that Jalen Hurts is going to win the Heisman Trophy.
Ipso facto, empirical fact.
Bang.
Give him have the ceremony tomorrow. Jalen Hurts,
Just give it to him now.
2019 Heisman.
He damn near won it at Alabama a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But he did. He almost did.
And the guy who replaced him nearly did this year and is still there.
But he didn't. You know why? Because the Oklahoma quarterback won it.
Oh,
so when it comes down to it, Tua Tagovailoa or an Oklahoma quarterback,
Yep.
it's going to be the Oklahoma quarterback.
If Jalen Hurts wins a Heisman, Lincoln Riley is going to get the bag from an NFL team.
Lincoln Riley is going to get Roger Goodell's job.
Yeah. Okay, well then
Everyone would be okay with that. Jalen Hurts right now, Heisman Trophy winner.
Okay.
It's a good question, Cody. I like that one. Jalen Hurts. Science. You can't argue science.
Yeah, you're right.
You're fighting science.
I am. And I'm going to win.
The
I'm gonna
guy
beat you, science.
The guy who can't figure out why it's dark when the show starts.
It's light now.
Well, that's why you're so lively.
Yeah.
That's why you're so lively.
It's dark when the show starts because the earth is flat.
Thanks, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. Cody?
All right, last one. The Super Bowl will be set when we return on Tuesday. Who's going to be playing in it?
Who dat?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. I picked the Saints to win the Super Bowl before the season started. I'm riding that one out. Even if I didn't think it was going to happen, I have to pick that.
Okay.
But I do.
You can change.
No, that's stupid. Why would I come this far? Why would I have the Saints as a preseason Super Bowl champion and then all of a sudden
Mr. Minnesota.
2 weeks before the
Hey.
Whoa.
But if Drew Brees was out for
shots
some reason,
fired by
Minnesota.
Cody Baylor, my goodness.
Drew Brees gets hurt. Mm-hmm. Well, I picked the Saints to win the Super. I can't change. Why wouldn't you change?
Well, I did that with the Eagles last year.
Yeah.
I had the Eagles winning. I said, Nick Foles, I picked the Eagles. Now, I didn't do it like before the season started, but I kept saying the Eagles week after week after week after. I'll ride with them.
Okay.
I'm riding with the Saints.
Well, me too.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't pick them before the season.
And then on the other, who did you have again?
Apparently the Vikings.
Not apparently. We had the audio. Stop acting like you didn't pick the Vikings.
Yeah.
It can be.
Science can definitely change that for sure. Jalen Hurts doctored the audio.
Yes.
I've heard
in the transfer portal.
He did. Indeed, he did. Jalen Hurts is actually starting at quarterback for the New Orleans Saints this weekend as part of the transfer portal process.
And I'm taking Oklahoma to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, with Drew Brees as the Heisman Trophy winner.
And Jason Garrett will still be somewhere clapping.
Yes, and Sean Payton will be in a Sooner mascot.
I've heard that. Yeah, and he'll fly them in.
Yeah.
Again, this only makes sense if you've been listening for the last 3 hours. If you haven't been listening, in fact, if you haven't been listening for the last 6 or 7 days, this probably does not make any sense. I'm going Saints. Other side, I'm going with Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
I don't know if the Chiefs are going to win, but Patrick Mahomes will.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to do it, but I am picking the Patriots.
Don't.
Yeah.
Cody, don't do that. I did.
Yeah, I think they're going to run the ball. I think they're the what's been strong for the for the Chiefs lately has been their defense. I think the Patriots will have a game plan to do that and figure out a way to slow down Mahomes. And I don't know. I think Belichick will find some magic. Sadly,
Cody.
I'm going to go with the Saints as well, and then I'm actually going to go with the Chiefs.
Okay.
Chiefs at home. Their defense.
I like it. Did the Saints pick hurt a little bit?
It did.
Yeah.
It always does.
Minnesota not.
Patriots would have hurt worse. So.
Cody. Yeah. Amen to that. Kyle, wrap it up.
My whole thing has been like I don't want to overthink picks, but I can't tell if overthinking it is taking the Chiefs or Patriots in this scenario. Like the Patriots are there. They've been there. This is Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs' first time there. It's Andy Reid. He's, perennially a failure in the playoffs, and it's Bill Belichick who perennially wins. But the Chiefs are the best team. But the Chiefs are the best team in the league.
To the tune of 12 and 13, he's a failure.
Yeah,
25 playoff games, 12 and 13, and that's considered a failure. I mean, of course, in a class, I think that's a.
Yeah, and he's been to one Super Bowl, right, and lost it.
Yeah, won the Super Bowl.
That's what
in
I
which
mean.
His quarterback was puking on the sideline, and his wide receiver had a broken leg.
So I'm taking the Chiefs. Even though all year I've been like, I'll bet against the Patriots once they lose. But I'm taking the Chiefs because it seems like the right thing to do. They're the better team. Chiefs Saints.
We all
got the Saints.
Okay. Wow, the Rams.
No love.
No one's in on the Sean McVay.
I think that'll be a very good game.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think both of these games will be really good. I mean, there really is no overthinking this, though, is there? Because all 4 of these teams are so closely matched. Like, we're not going to come in Tuesday and go, oh, my gosh, can you believe what happened? I mean, unless it's like a Minnesota Miracle play or a blowout play.
Right.
Like, it's just if it's a football game, we're not going to be just a regular football game. I don't think we're going to come in stunned at what the Super Bowl is going to be Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because they're the 4 top teams in the league.
It's all very believable.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we went chalk through the playoffs. Like this is what we're left with.
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about this earlier. I think the only surprise for me would be a blowout in either direction. For if any team gets blown out, I'd be a little surprised.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you being with us here, whether it's on Sports 1140 AM or the KHTK app, KHTK.com. Thanks for those who followed along on the stream. You were pretty well behaved today. I think there's some people who are a bit surprised by that.
I got another week to work at
I
it.
put out a video of your last appearance on the drive.
Yeah.
And that got a lot of attention.
What'd you do?
Oh, you gotta see. He basically did not pay attention to me for 3 hours as he did what he is
I
doing.
saw-
Very
I
enamored
saw-
by the camera.
He
I
is.
saw it.
He loves the camera as much as the camera loves him. It's time to plan your football playoff party treats. Start at your local Sprouts Farmers Market and Sprouts.com. Find Jay Ross across social media platforms at Jason Ross 1140, at Kyle A. Matson on Twitter, at Cody Baylor across all social media platforms, at Damian Barling. We thank you so much for being with us. We will be back with you Tuesday at 6 a.m. Have a great weekend.